Hey, the 2020 campaign promises are kicking off. The different platforms that the people running for office are promising. And I'm reminded that government cannot create anything. All it can do is empower the individual or take power away from the individual. So, as we're listening to campaign promises, I challenge you to listen to it in a framework of, is this promise empowering me, or is this promise taking power away from me? And usually they sneak in the door by attacking a certain group. Like, let's use the 1%ers, for example. Oh, the 1% aren't taxed enough. Well, regardless of whether you think that the 1% paying 50% of all tax revenue is enough or not, isn't the point. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they're going after individual liberty, individual power. And as they do that, and they take that power from one group, then that power often translates over to another group. So, as you're listening to the promises, even if it sounds like, yeah, I want that, or it sounds good, think about it from a power standpoint. If a person running for office takes power from an individual, that means bigger government. That means more power to the person running for office, more legitimacy for that person. If the person running for office is taking power and giving it back to the individual, that means a smaller government. And it means less of a chance to get reelected for the person running for office. So government is always self-interested in growing, which is why we have over $22 trillion in debt right now, and growing at more than $1 trillion a year, which is unsustainable. And since our political system of getting elected is always about creating bigger and bigger government, it doesn't increase what we earn as a people. It only takes more. So, 2020 campaigns, listen closely, and don't be fooled. Listen to the subtext. Is this something that's growing government? Is this something that's growing my personal liberty, my own personal strength, and that of my fellow citizens? And I think you'll find that anybody that gets momentum on the political landscape is going to be taking something from you. Even if it sounds like they're giving something to you, listen really carefully, because they're probably taking something away. Bigger government is good for politicians. It often creates more problems, which is good for politicians, but it's not necessarily what's good for the people. I challenge you, regardless of your income, race, creed, religion, anything that differentiates you, because the government wants to differentiate you, because they can divide us, and that gives the government strength. I challenge you to do something nice for a neighbor, a stranger on the street, and think of us as a community of people, regardless of the differences that the government continually points out. And think of us as a community that's pulling together. And our goal isn't to abolish government. I'm not anti-government. But we have to have a government that's smaller in size than it is now, because we can't afford it. And we have to realize that politicians, in their own self-interest, and I don't mean that necessarily even a negative way, that they have to promise stuff that takes power away from you in order to grow their position and have a job. So, let's think locally, and let's watch really closely and listen to what's being promised in the 2020 campaign race. Regardless of what side, they're all taking something. So listen close, stay strong.